Okay, we've had the new parts come through from the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
What happened? Let me know you're okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbejdżan Grand Prix. Baku City Circuit then, an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo, and Vettel, Verstappen, Kvyat, Albon, and Carlos Sainz, Stroll, Matsushita, and Guan Yu Zhou, and De Vries, Perez, Russell, Kevin Magnussen, and Antonio Giovinazzi. The rookie, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going. Okay, our system checks are good. We need to stay in formation and start bringing the car up to temperature, please. Get some load into the tyres and work the brakes. We want them nice and warm by the end of the lap. Are you okay? That was a nasty hit. Turn the engine off and wait for the marshals.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Lewis Hamilton takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after an excellent result. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
Our new parts have been completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
Quick position rundown for you. The current top 5 are Hamilton, Bottas, Gasly, Kvyat and Verstappen. So just ahead of us in this session at the moment are Verstappen, Sainz and Vettel. And behind us are Ricciardo, Leclerc. Currently the fastest lap is a 1:29.4.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Hamilton, Bottas and Charles Leclerc. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. Do you feel comfortable on the wet, or are you hoping the sun shines tomorrow? It's got to be a relief to qualify that far up the grid. How do you feel this season is going for you? Is the car competitive? Appreciate your time.
Welcome along then to France, host of the world-famous Tour de France. But we're not talking two wheels today, we're talking four, in a country widely thought of as giving birth to the art of motor racing back in the late 1800s. We've come a long way since then, and you're about to find out how far. It's time for the French Grand Prix. A lap of Paul Ricard then consists of 15 corners and a total length of around 3.6 miles. Drivers will need to position their cars carefully on the exit of the flat-out turn 10, ready for the double apex right-hander at 11. Watch out for potential overtaking action at the end of the start-finish straight and into the heavy braking zone of turn 8. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Can I get your take on Ferrari? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Gasly, Daniel Kvyat, and Verstappen, the rookie, Sainz, Vettel, and Daniel Ricciardo, Albon, Norris, Lance Stroll, and De Vries, Russell, Perez, and Guan Yu Zhou, and Nobuharu Matsushita. Giovinazzi and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching. We're not seeing any technical issues coming off the practice start. Watch the RPM on the full start. We don't want to bog down. Nice start. tyre condition is still looking good. Okay, we've got plenty of energy. Use the overtake button and have a go. We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums. No need to worry about tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good. Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Copy. We're in P4. Gasly is ahead of you. The gap is less than a second. They're on old softs. Leclerc behind. They're on old softs. The distance to the leader is 4.5 seconds. Gap to teammate behind is 2.2 seconds. Mind that front wing. It'll need replacing if it takes too much damage. A new strategy is available on the MFD. Confirmed. Go now. Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tires. to teammate ahead is 16.8 seconds. In P17. You're in P17. P17. Perez ahead. Our gap to the car in front is 2.4 seconds. They're on fresh hards. Magnussen is behind you. The gap behind us is 4.3 seconds. They're on fresh hards. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. 15 laps still remaining. P17 now, we have P17. Perez is ahead of you. Okay, gap ahead is 1.8 seconds. They're on fresh hards. Magnussen behind. The gap to the car behind is 4.3 seconds. They're on fresh hards. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. 15 laps still remaining. Some information on Matsushita. They seem to have an issue. The car behind you has just fitted the hard tyres. Car behind, running hards. The car ahead of you has just fitted the hard tyres. Car ahead now on the hard compound. The track is clear. Green flag. we're trailing our teammate by 11.7 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in 5th. The time last lap was a 1 minute 34.7. This is your final lap of the race. That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
A great race then, and a fantastic victory here at Paul Ricard. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day? It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You seem to have issues with fuel efficiency. Does your team need to invest in that area? It must be gutting to miss out on a podium due to penalties. Do you think it was the right call by the officials? You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you? You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? Great. Well, that's everything.